That better?
How are you, beautiful?
How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us. We are so excited to have you, honestly.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here. These IG lives are a little, this is good for me. It kind of gets me out of my comfort zone. I'm used to just talking to someone on the phone or
Yeah,
actually sitting down in front of someone. So it's like getting me out of my comfort zone. So it's good. It's good. I'm here.
I love it. I love it. Same for me too. I love this. It's kind of just shaking things up a little bit, doing it a little bit differently, right? I like that.
I mean, listen, we have no choice, right?
Right?
The new normal.
Exactly. We just got to roll with it.
We do.
And again, I just want to thank you so much. I want to introduce myself. My name is Neonna, and you are tuned in with Black Cinema Now.
This is great. This is wonderful. Hold 1 second. What do you need? Oh, yes. Go this way. Sorry, with this, when it's live, you're dealing with live situations.
We got it, girl. We're just gonna keep rolling with it.
What's that?
Oh, we're just gonna keep rolling with it. We get it.
No, this is good. I love, I was looking at your site. It's so good what you guys are doing. This is great.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for acknowledging that. It's a lot of hard work to get celebrities as amazing as you. Trust me, we are working.
Hi, Auntie Bev. Hi, Auntie Bev. I see you.
Hey, Auntie. Oh my gosh. Well, we just want to get right into it with you girls, and because we have so many questions.
Yeah.
And while we have time, we just want to try and cover as much as we can.
Yeah.
So, Golden, oh my gosh.
Yes.
You are obviously known for your famous role as the Maya Wilkes.
Oh, hell yes.
Oh, hell yes.
Oh,
Okay?
hell yes.
All of that. And I think to all of us watching, she is iconic. Like, you don't even have to say her first and last name, just Maya, and you know who exactly we're referring to. So I would like to know if you could, for those who are watching, for those who are just now being able to stream it on Netflix for the first time, just explain a little bit about the show and what exactly it is about. I know it's a group of 4 girls, but just kind of go into explaining a little bit about the group dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the fact that we're still talking about this, Girlfriends ended in 2008. So, I mean, we're looking at, 20 years later. And I think I have to first give a shout out to Netflix for, just picking up the series and giving our fans and supporters just being able to just, put it in their library, put it in their, must watch section as opposed to having to go, get the box set. And Mara Brock-Akil and Kelsey Grammer for even, having this have its life. And, it's being reintroduced to a lot of our girl frenzies out there.
Yeah.
But also sort of new to a lot of, a younger generation or even just a different generation of people that didn't know about it back then. But it really transcends pretty much, I think, all decades, I mean, the story of 4 Black women, successful, myself, Maya, Denise Wilkes,
Hey.
who really is that girl who's, she's from the other side of the track. She was a little different than Joan, Tony, and Lynn, but she had a vision for herself. And I think that's what was so beautiful, is that all 4 of these women, even with all of their flaws, they all had one thing in common. They needed that connection. They wanted that connection. And they, we challenged each other. And, Joan and Maya constantly were butting heads at the beginning when, Maya was working at the firm. And, Tony and Joan had that, I mean, that's self-explanatory. And Lynn, the perennial student, who's, I'll just go anywhere. Just love me and feed me.
Yeah.
And I think the 4 of us really, we fit into these archetypes that could have easily been caricatures, but I think because we fought so hard for that humanity of each of our characters and the, just the realness of them. And, for me, I know as an actress, you always want to get to the part where the girl is just, your character's fly and she's already gone through all of her, her ugly parts. But, Mara Brock-Akil was really good at, you've got to raise the stakes. You got to get people at their heartstrings, and you got to show the ugly before you can show the good. And I think that's why people resonate with Girlfriends so much, because we weren't just these cookie cutter characters that you really couldn't relate to, where something, if they had a problem, it was summed up in, 27 minutes. No, we literally, we were a 30-minute dramedy, but we felt more like a sort of an episodic, because our arcs and our stories, like in real life, don't get settled in 20 minutes. So I think that's so beautiful about it.
Oh, so beautiful. Legendary event. Legendary event. I would love for you to just explain a little bit about your character in particular and what it is that she brought to the group dynamic, her strengths, her weaknesses, what that did as far as influence the rest of the girls, because I do feel like she is an unlikely influence to her group of friends. So just explain a little bit about her dynamic, if you could.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that Maya, I mean, when you look at Maya, if you're reading a script or you're reading a book and you see this character, you're instantly going to think you have a vision of who she is. I mean, she's definitely that girl from the LL Cool J songs, sitting at the bus stop selling a lollipop,
Yeah.
Has that. But I think why, I like to think why people resonated with Maya Wilkes is because, well, not just me, but no, she is the common voice of the four girls. She's that girl who, she's that girl who made back the groceries. She may be your auntie, your best friend. She may be the woman who's driving the bus. She may be, she's your frontline worker. She's that girl who's your everyday wake up, get it done, take care of her family. There's really no trimming, you know what I mean? And she spoke the truth, and she spoke for the common people. And I think for all the other, I think Joan, Lynn, and Tony, as grounded as they were in their realities, I think Maya was just a little bit deeper rooted in community. Yeah. And important for her. And I think, not to state a cliche, but she kept it real. And I think when you're dealing with, with any group of friends, I'm sure any girls or anyone listening to this, you have that one group of friends where you're like, there's always that one that's like, no. Y'all need to, okay, you're at a 10, let's bring it to about a 5, and let's bring this back full circle. That's true. About family. she was the only one with the family. Tony eventually had little Morgan, but she was sort of the sort of the grassroots of the bunch. And you may not have liked what Maya had to say, but she was not going to mince words. And you need that. You really need that. I think people are like, oh, here comes Maya, and I loved playing her. I loved giving this character, when you look at Girlfriends and you look at Black women and the representation of the Black woman, the late 90s, early 2000s, we really weren't flushed out characters in TV shows. You have to think about, if you look at the sort of the lineage of the Black actor, you go from Sanford and Son, to Good Times, the Jeffersons, the Huxtables, and I think to Living Singles. And I think what made Girlfriends was so, to me, what I love is that, we aim to be perceived and seen in the highest regard, and we need that, we deserve that. But there's something about being able to be stripped down and showing the rawness of us too. Yeah. I feel like sometimes it's from A to, it's either hot or cold, Black or white, no pun intended. And I think Girlfriends really just kind of stripped down all those stereotypes, and Mara Brockett-Kill had just such a great way. She was so progressive and ahead of her time, dealing with class issues, race issues, color lines, dark skin, light skin, what that meant, dealing with the AIDS epidemic. It was one of my favorite episodes, to abortion, or, miscarriage, Maya losing her baby, a Black family moving to an all-white neighborhood, there was just so many, just sort of pop culture bullet points that I think Mara was really sort of, and I don't know if she was ahead of her time, it's just you hadn't seen it. It was definitely happening around us, but you hadn't seen it portrayed on TV, let alone with 4 Black women.
Yes, exactly. Wow. You are so right. That episode with about the AIDS awareness, I believe it was, that one really got me.
Yeah.
Like I mean, really, Kimberly Elise, she's obviously an amazing actress. So she brought a lot to that role,
Yeah.
and it was phenomenal. That was a great one.
Yes.
And you actually touched on a lot of my next question, which was, why do you feel like this series made such an impact on the lives of Black women? And I do think you kind of got into that a little bit, but just to touch on it a bit more, why do you feel like this series is so important to Black women even today?
Yeah, really good questions. And I think I don't ever want to take away from where I believe we are going in terms of the visions of us as Black women. Like, I think it's grown immensely as a people. But I think people are still hanging on to this and clinging on to it because there's still a void. I mean, we have great, like, the likes of Issa Rae. Like, I'm like, yes, queen. She's so amazing. You know, Shonda Rhimes. You know, we've got some really powerhouse Black women who are creating our stories, and it's just really opened the door for studios to see that the Black woman is marketable. We are valuable. We hold value in this business. I think that the reason why people are still are wanting girlfriends and talking as if it's a brand new show is because, I mean, there's not enough of it. There's not enough of us, our images. You know, for so many years we've been looking at, you know, I hate to break things up in black and white, but we've had, you know, Sex in the City, you know, I mean, there's just a litany of like shows where it's just, you know, non-brown people. And we've had to look at their stories for years and decades. And so I just think that it's pretty obvious to me that the Black experience is extremely underrepresented. And I think things are changing, but I still think there's more to do. And I think that's why there's a need for it.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I never really even sat and thought about it that way. The reason why we are devouring it the way we are is because we need it and we need more of it. So it's like, to see this put such in such a nostalgic place, but it's just also sad because it shouldn't be, you know, so hard to come by, so hard to relate and find something that, you know, we see ourselves in. So what an amazing point. Thank you. Yeah. So in what ways did Maya resonate with you, Golden?
Wow. You know, I think well, look, girl, I think there's a little bit of Maya.
In all of us.
You know, I think there's a little bit of Maya in every girl, woman. You know, I feel like, you know, you got to keep it cute when you got to keep it cute. But sometimes you got to bring out your inner Maya.
You do. You just do.
For me, as a Black woman, like, listen, we know, it's like, I look at people like Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama, where, you know, you have to be so poised because you're one snap and a head roll away from being, you know, that sister girl.
Right.
You have to think about it. What's wrong with that sister girl? But I think we're so in a box of having to fight against how people see the Black woman. And I think that for me, Maya is my truth. She's my higher self. You know, like, I kind of have to keep her caged sometimes in this society that we live in. You know, especially before I became an actress. You know, when I was even in college and when I was going to get a job, you know, it wasn't like, oh, hell no, you can't. What? I can do this job. You know, but I mean, you really have to, and we as Black people do it every day. We code switch. And so I feel like Maya, to me, she is that proud Black woman who, no holds barred. She is going to speak her mind. I mean, she really doesn't care if the receiver can't handle that truth. And I think for me, I am that. You know, a lot of that. I grew up with my mom who, you know, she's a single mom, and, you know, we grew up in the Bay Area, and then we moved here to LA, and I went to different types of schools. And when you're growing up and you're going to different types of schools with different types of kids, you got to learn real quick how to assimilate and fit in. And I learned quick. You know, there were some schools where, look, I was like, what? You know, what we doing today? Well, you know, and so
Okay.
I learned how to do that. And like, I think
Yeah.
socially smart, you know, I think
Mhm.
you can be book smart and you can be street smart. And I feel like Maya in the end eventually became that. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you so much for just spilling it.
Yeah.
So here's my next question. So that's kind of a two-part question because I like to know, given all the circumstances that Maya went through or evolved through, I would say, what I guess what would you have done differently, if anything, than Maya? What decisions would you have made a little bit differently?
You mean in my life or as the
And
character?
as the character.
Oh, okay. Well, I probably wouldn't have cheated. No, I mean those like, but you know, I probably, you know, I don't. Well, as me, Golden Brooks, I don't really have regret because I even think mistakes are part of the whole puzzle. But I think if I were to do something differently, if I were Maya, you know, Maya, I'll tell you what. As much as I love Maya, Maya was a little judgy, a little critical sometimes. I would,
Mhm.
because Maya sometimes she did need to stop, close your mouth, and listen. And I
Yeah.
think couldn't hear anybody over her. You know, it was the miseducation of my books, you know. So
Yeah.
I would definitely, I think during that whole arc where she and Darnell were not seeing eye to eye, and she did cheat, and how that whole arc happened, I think Maya just wasn't hearing. Maya really couldn't hear anybody else's side but her
Yeah.
own. And I think we as women, Black women, sometimes I don't even want to put a color on it. I think sometimes, you know, we get caught up in our own translation, and I think by virtue of fearing being soft, being vulnerable, and Maya, I'm assuming, uh, you know, she came from that. Where if you're soft and you let people in too quickly, you're gonna get hurt. And
Yeah.
so had an armor. She's like, yo, I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me. I'm gonna be
Right.
out before you leave me. So, so I would say like maybe soften that up a little bit, but
Mhm.
that was who she was, you know. I
Exactly.
want to apologize for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what we love about her. That's exactly what we love about her. And speaking of, I have to say, when Girlfriends originally aired, I was about 11 or 12 years
Oh,
old at the time.
thank you for. I feel ancient.
No, please don't. Please don't. AJ, nothing but a number, girl.
I have an 11-year-old who every day is like, "Oh, mom, you better play that gray hair. You don't want people seeing that." I'm like, "Really, little girl?" But
Please, her mama is hot. But I literally, like, when I watched it, you know, being that young, I obviously did not grasp
yes,
all there was to grasp and understand, especially about each character. I mean, imagine your daughter right now, like, sitting and watching Girlfriends as if she understands or relates. Like,
oh, you'd be surprised. She's the new. She's one of the new generation kids.
okay, I
Mhm.
understand that. I understand that. But I just felt like I had so much in common with Joan
Oh,
at the time. No shade to any of the other characters.
that's
Like
the
I just felt like on paper, like Joan had it all together. Like this is who I aspire to be.
yes.
Now, fast forward today, I'm not going to give away who I am, but I am much more mature in watching the series, and I felt like now today I am Maya. Like
A lot of people.
I
That's interesting you say that because actually Jill was telling me that they did a poll, and they said exactly what you just said, that when it was actually on, more women resonated with Joan because of what you just said. It appeared as if she had it all together.
yeah
Uh, Watching it now, 2020, in this world we're living in, they're
yeah
like, wait, hold up, snap, not Maya.
yeah
Yeah, I
yeah
get that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's exactly where I was going with that. That was exactly my point. Are you hearing or you yeah, are you hearing and seeing a lot of people now being able to relate more to your character as opposed to when she was originally aired? Because I feel the same way. Like I feel like, man, hold up, Joe might have been a little bit toxic, but Maya, she makes a whole lot of sense, and she's just so relatable and so real and honest. And I think that's what we loved about her.
You know, it's interesting you say that because you have to also look at when we were watching Girlfriends. We were watching Girlfriends in 2000, right? The early 2000s, where we weren't far away from the Huxtables and Felicia Rashad and being this sort of lawyer and having it all. You know, I think I think we were still trying to figure out who is a Black woman. We had seen a bunch of Mayas back then, and we were still teetering on that stereotypical image of that sort of hood and around the way girl, where she still wasn't completely valued. Do you know? Like, oh no, it's Joan, Which Joan is a great character to aspire to be. Let's get it real, keep it real. What a great role model, right? But I think now where we are and seeing how the Black woman has sort of changed throughout the years, because we've evolved, we've gone through, and I think Maya now is just more of the voice of, I think, where we are today. She's sort of I would say Maya and Lynn, honestly, I think these two characters are a little bit more appreciated, if you will, because of where we are as women of color.
For sure.
Oh, great. I'm just saying, if we were really going to break it up and we were writing a thesis statement on it, I would say that
if we're really going to talk about that thing,
transcended to where we are today. And I definitely think Maya today, I think she'd be part of the, BLM movement. She'd definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? She would definitely be out there protesting, she'd be out there. She'd be, fighting for civil rights.
I think so too. I definitely think so too, for sure. So let's talk about that special moment where you and the rest of the cast reunited for a very special episode of Blackish with Tracy Ellis Ross. That was very special.
Which one? Sorry, comments. Oh gosh, thank you.
The moment where you and the rest of the girlfriends reunited for a special episode of Blackish.
Yes.
What was that like, being on set, working together again after so many years?
Oh, it's a good question. It was literally like getting on a bicycle and doing it all. It's like you never forget how to ride a bike. It's like you learned to ride a bike 20 years ago and then you get back on, you just go right back to where you were. And it was like just going back to sort of like an old boyfriend where you're just like, oh, wait, wow, this is why I loved you. And I literally, the four of us just, we just went hook, line, just right back into our rhythm. It was so much fun, and so proud of Tracy and all of her accomplishments and everything she's doing. And it was just nice to sort of be on her turf and to play around with them, and getting to see Kenya Barris again, who was also a writer on Girlfriends. And, it was just nice. It was very nostalgic, but fun. And
it was fun for us too. It was like, it was a moment. It was a whole moment. Yeah. So this next question is pretty serious. Okay. So
let me get ready.
Let's get serious for a moment. Your fans have literally been begging and pleading for a Girlfriends movie.
I know. Oh, I have no say. People think I'm like holding like a little bag of tricks in my closet, like a little wizard. I don't know. This is not. Look, it's not up to Tracy, Jill, Persia, or myself, or Reggie. It's like a Paramount question. It's a Mara Bucket Kill question. I mean, we literally would. I mean, if it happens, if Mara were presented with the offer that she deemed acceptable, then we'd see where we would go from there. But it's so much bigger than just make a movie. It's very political and what people are not owed, I shouldn't say that's the wrong word, but what people feel that it's what their worth is. And so Mara has, she knows what she would need. And so hopefully that will happen. We'll see. You never know.
I really hope so. Like, there is such a strong fan base. We want it. Like,
I know.
I see that going so well. Like, I don't see how it won't work.
I know. We gonna put it out there.
Let's put it out there. Hoping. Okay. So let's get into your new role in the new Vanessa Bell-Calloway. She's brilliant. Oh my God. Can we just pause right there for a second?
Okay, yes. Coming to America. What? Now, do you remember that? Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, I do. I absolutely do, girl. Cult classic.
You know, that, I mean, she's just, I've been watching her, you know, I mean, I think we all sort of have like our spirit animal. We all have that. And, you know, I think a lot of people, you know, Maya Wilkes is there. You know, Vanessa Bell-Calloway, Pam Grier, Diane Carroll, Diana Ross. You know, I've had, well, Angela Bassett. I mean, even Halle Berry. Like, I've had my eye and my artistic heart sort of pinned in these women for so many years. And so, man, Vanessa Bell-Calloway, I've just always been such a fan, and she brings it every time.
Yeah.
No matter how small the role is, she's so memorable. And, you know, when she called me about this role, the waiting room, A Long Look in the Mirror, I was like, oh, okay. And she's also a breast cancer survivor herself, so the story was really close to her heart. So I was like, wow, I want to do it justice. I mean, not about her, but BET, they do this initiative. This is their second year of doing this initiative where, you know, they put focus on breast cancer awareness and mental health. And I felt very honored to be part of that and to be able to tell the story that Vanessa directed. It was all female fueled, female writers, female director, female DP. Yeah, it was a great experience. We did it during COVID, so we were tested, temperature checked. So it was, you know, it was different working as an actress in that sort of dynamic. But
yeah.
I felt very honored to be able to shed light on a medical epidemic that's really that has affected our community, Black women especially.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I really do hope that if you're watching, that you will go back and watch this film.
Yes.
It's amazing. It really does shed so much awareness on breast cancer, and just making sure that you get yourselves checked. Like,
yeah. I
don't always see the signs. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say to a lot of women out there, I didn't mean to cut you off. Early detection is protection. You know, we forget about our mammograms. Sometimes we forget about the girls, but we got to check in on them and just, you know, like we check in with our hair and our lace fronts, you know, got to make sure that all the other beautiful pieces of us are fully intact.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. Absolutely. So in the short, we see your character, Cynthia Howard, which you did an amazing performance, by the way.
Thank you.
Great. She goes through a breakdown. There's a moment where she really grasps the reality of what is happening to her. I mean, I think at that point, I don't want to give too much away, but this is a film about, you know, breast cancer. She does go through chemotherapy. How hard was it to digest that scene as an actress and then, you know, be able to turn around and portray that character in that moment?
That's a really good question. I mean, you know, as an actor, sometimes you can only do what you're presented, right? Sometimes people say, oh my gosh, girl, I didn't know you could do all that. You're like, well, sometimes you're only as good as what you're given. And you know, there's no shade in that. Like, that's real. How could you not see me do it? And so I think as an actor, you always have those emotions readily available in your arsenal. You're keeping them there. And so you're just waiting for those moments, those characters where you're able to, you know, go deep and pull out those emotions. And I mean, I was trained old school. I'm like Stanislavski, method acting. So for me, all that stuff, all that crap I went through growing up, and you know, you kind of suppress it. It's easy for me to grab it and then place it in a character. Praise Father Jesus, I've never been ill like that. I've never had cancer, but I don't think you had to have had cancer to know the pain of feeling helpless and feeling like it's all of it's blowing up in your face. And to feel, you know, as a mother, you don't want to ever feel helpless. And then that role reversal. And then, you know, there's the other dynamic where it's like, being sick ain't sexy. Like, it's not
Yeah.
cute, you know? And for this character who was very youth driven, youth obsessed, you know, she to lose all of her hair, and that's real. And that you're angry. I mean, she's, you know, when you don't like what the world has given you, sometimes people, they turn it around and they victimize themselves and they get pissed at everyone around. And she was just pissed. It's your fault, her daughter's fault. You know, she just went into that pit of angry pity. And that's I think we can all relate to that. I think, you know, you can pick something in your life where you've just felt completely like, why me? Why? I've crossed all my T's, I've dotted my I's. The scene that she did with, you know, Victoria Rowell, you know, how is this happening to me? No one in my family had breast cancer. I drink my green drink. I work out. I'm snatched, you know, like,
Yeah.
hey, why? And that's, you know, that's a big question. It may not be breast cancer, but it can be something else. So in terms of emotion, you know, I just dug deep and sort of brought some of my own stuff and transfer that onto that character.
And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was very moving. Like, and that's why I said it just put you right in the right head mindset, because even me, you know, just being a young adult and just not realizing, like, man, you know, this is something that we need to consciously think about. Just like you said, we get our hair done, our nails done, that should be right on that same list. So
Yes.
I am so glad. And by the way, we didn't mention it, but the name of the short is called The Waiting Room.
Yes.
So,
Our particular movie is called A Long Look in the Mirror. And I think it's on BET Her. It aired, but you can still, I'm sure, I think it's on demand. You can still be, it's Waiting Room season 2.
Yeah, it's so good. Please, please, please go and see it. We definitely believe a strong support system is super important. And in the film, as you mentioned, you had your daughter, Tiana, to kind of lean on for her strength. Have you ever been in a situation in your personal life where you had to lean on your family for their strength and their support?
Oh, girl, all the time. Oh, my God. Little 11-year-old daughter, I know, she's like, oh, mommy. But not really though. But no, but yeah, I mean, my mother, I'm so close to my mother. And I mean, there have been a lot of things that I've sort of had to battle, you know, and I think that without your family, without my family, I don't know how I would have gotten through it. And my friends are my family too, you know. I went through something a few years ago, and I felt like, oh dear gosh, how am I ever going to come back from this, just emotionally. And between like my girlfriends and my mom and even my daughter in her way of just stroking my back, or mommy, it's gonna be okay, and mommy, like you told me, it doesn't last forever, nothing lasts forever. That's what you said, you know. From the mouths of children, right, when they put something back into your head that's something so sweet and so simple, right? Like when the world is crashing down, you feel like the walls are closing in, you don't want to hear like, it's gonna be okay. You said it's not gonna last forever, but when you hear like a little 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old say this, you're like, you know what? You're right. And so yeah, I mean, my mom and my brother, and you know, my mom Barbara, my brother Walter, and my dad. You know, even though my dad and my mom divorced when I was young, you know, my dad is still sort of that voice that calms me and gives me center. So yeah, I mean, I feel very blessed to have a good community of people. And even though I may not talk to, well, as you know, I don't know, I may not talk to my family every single day, but let me tell you, if something happened and, you know, sky was falling, they would be on a plane here to lift it back up from here, at least try.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm so glad you have that.
Yeah.
Now, we also wanted to touch on your role in the TNT limited series, I Am the Night, where you play Jimmy Lee.
Oh.
Yes, Jimmy Lee. Could you talk to us a little bit about the show and who your character is?
Oh, now she was tough. Now that was tough because, and great question too. Now that character, because it was a longer production, and it took you know, a few months to finish that. And so I thought when I was doing that role, I know it's going to sound really weird and ironic, but I would think about like the likes of like a Heath Ledger and people who have played the Joker. You know what I mean? Nicholson, because you know how there's this sort of, you know, this cloud over that. And leave the set and still have that on them. Like, and I'm not comparing Jimmy Lee to the Joker by any means, but just the darkness of her.
Right.
And she's an alcoholic. She was abusive. She was a chain smoker. She was a liar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, deceitful and mean, and to her kid, and like to have, and even though, and then we're dealing with, you know, race relations during the 1920s and the Black Dahlia and all of that. I don't know, I mean, a lot of people may not be aware of the old Hollywood Black Dahlia murders, but this is a true story. And it was just really, and that was really hard for me coming home with that. And Patty Jenkins, the director of Wonder Woman and Monster. She just was. I mean, I don't think I've ever had an experience like that. She was probably one of the most phenomenal directors I'd ever worked with, and you know, she had no idea who I was from Girlfriends, which is interesting because, you know, it was popular, but it really didn't transcend that much into, and please no offense, into sort of white Hollywood, you know.
No, yeah.
So Patty Jenkins was like, where are you? You know, I just know Golden Brooks, she's right for the role. Then when she hired me, then she was like, oh my gosh, you're the show and da-da-da. And she's like, I completely want people to see you in a different way. And she taught me that, you know, as a Black woman, we feel that when we get these roles, we have to be so hair, da, ba, ba. She was like, shed that, get rid of it. Everyone knows that you can clean up, and you're like, let people see your work. And it just stuck with me. And I was like, let me stop hiding behind these roles where I'm fully like, you know, and it was freeing not looking pretty. It was freeing being able to get in there and do that work and just really go to that deep, dark place, and having to cry like take after take after take. And I'm talking like deep, dark cry. And so it was, you know, it was such an experience. And the whole cast, India Isley, such a beautiful actress, and Chris Pine, you know, who's just so hard on the eye.
Yes.
Lynn Oser. There was a lot of beautiful actors in that piece. Connie Nielsen. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So that's another one to watch. Can we stream that right now? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's another one. Honestly, we love your work. We love seeing you. Honestly, don't feel like we see enough of you. We need more.
I know. Girl, look, from your mouth to God's ears. But I do say I like to do things where it's going to be memorable as opposed to just doing a bunch of stuff. And I'm kind of selective, but I'm working on something right now that I can't wait to come back and, you know, be able to have another one of these lovely chats with you. I can't wait to hear people's, you know, just their, you know, drop some tea, you know, and hear people's opinions. But I think it's going to be great. I think people are going to really like it.
So that's exciting. So obviously that's something you can straight up tell us right now, but
I cannot, but I will. And I'm telling you, I think people are really going to love it. Yes.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. Golden, you have been just that.
Thank
you
you.
have been amazing, and we can't thank you enough. Please let everyone know just one more time where we can stream your short films and follow you on social media.
Thank you. Well, the waiting room, and my particular film is called A Long Look in the Mirror. You can easily see it on BET Her, and that should be easily, readily available for you to watch. A piece I did last year called I Am the Night. You can stream that on Hulu. Of course, Girlfriends is on Netflix, and you can catch me on my Instagram, TheRealGolden47, and the same on Twitter. And I hardly check my Facebook. I'm sorry. I'm not smart. I don't know how to. I don't even know how Facebook works. I'm working on it though. I'm gonna get better. In 2021, everything's gonna change.
Man, from your mouth to God's ears.
Levels for real. Yes.
Absolutely. You've been phenomenal. So you guys make sure that you're following Black Cinema now if you are not. And you can also follow my personal Instagram over at HwoodGems.
Yes.
And guys, it's been great. Hopefully we get to chat with you again soon.
I would love that. You're so lovely and so beautiful. And thank you for your well thought out questions. And it was such a joy. And thank you. I hope to come back and talk to you soon.
Thank
you.
Bye,
guys. See Miami episode Joker scene 82. I see you.
Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight.
Bye.
Take care, beautiful.
Bye.